Hey, this is Bill Mosley. I play Otis in House of a Thousand Corpses and Devil's Rejects and Chop Top and Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. And you're listening to WithoutYourHead.com. Don't touch that dial or I will lick your plate. No.
All right, and welcome to the station of decapitation, Without Your Head. I am Nasty Neal.
And I am Annabelle Lecter.
You are indeed. And we're joined right off the bat here, Annabelle. We're joined by Bob Elmore, Leatherface. He's a good man. He's got a pretty rockin' beard. I got a beard going myself, but not quite as cool as Bob Elmore's. Maybe someday.
I love it. It bothers my wife so much I keep it on there. If it annoys her, then I'm into that.
Yeah.
She doesn't secretly trim it at night?
She threatens that every day. Because I'm going to get up in the middle of the night. Yeah, I'm going to get up and trim it, and you won't even know about it. Yeah, right, okay.
It's kind of like a John Bobbitt kind of thing going on there.
Yeah,
probably a lot better than that, though. Yeah. We were talking a little bit off air here, and you were really saying that like the whole horror scene, I guess the convention stuff is pretty new to you.
Brand new to me. Brand new. Well, let's see, about a year and a half maybe. I did 3 or 4 shows last year, and a couple this year so far.
Really, that's the same as myself. Last year was my first horror convention, so I'm pretty new to the horror conventions too. But why did it take you so long to get involved in them?
I've been in the movie business for 30 years, so I've done a lot of stuff, a lot of TV, a lot of movies. And the one unique movie I did do was Texas Chainsaw 2, and it was 25 years ago. Well, last year, beginning of the year, I got a call from a guy who I never met. He says, "Were you in this movie, Texas Chainsaw 2?" And I go, "Yeah, I was a stunt double in it." "Yeah, why?" And I go, "Who are you, and how'd you get my name? My number?" Well, he got it. I know a gentleman named Tom Morga, who was in the stunt business for many, many years, and he gave me my number and so on and so forth. And he goes, "Well, how would you like to go to a convention and you have pictures of and meet people and stuff?" I said, "Well, that's great, but I'm not an actor, and I still profess not to be one. I've always done small acting parts and stuff, but I've always been a stuntman." And I said, "I tell you what," I go, "you look at the film, you tell me if it would be worthwhile for people to see me." And he did. He called me back, and the rest is history.
Are you glad that you started doing them? Have you been having fun?
Oh, are you? Yeah. I said it's a very unique group of people that go to these shows. I've never met anyone that wasn't nice at all. Everyone that I've ever met or had anything to do with has been extremely hospitable, and gracious, and everybody in the shows and all the other actors and stuff have all been great.
Now, did you have any preconceived notions, maybe you thought this isn't going to be for me, or yeah?
Oh yeah, I go, "What, a horror convention? Are you kidding me? They all got to be freaks and blah blah blah."
Well, that's true.
Yeah,
it's nicer than you expected.
It is in a unique way, but they're just like everybody else. But I had a guy who had a picture tattooed on his arm. He wanted my autograph, and he had a tattoo artist right there, and he tattooed the autograph on his arm. I go, "Well, that's a first, very unique thing, and right on."
When you've been going, have anyone asked you to sign anything really unusual?
Other than chainsaws, real chainsaws, nothing really unusual. No, like I said, I did the movie. I did about 99% of the movie. And I originally went to double Bill Johnson, and when we went back there, I did a bunch of stuff. It was time for him to do close-ups. He couldn't lift the chainsaw. They pulled me back in. I ended up doing, like I said, I did almost everything in the movie except for one scene that he was in. And that was it. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, just to say, how did you get involved in the movie to begin with? Was it to be his stunt double?
Well, originally, yeah. All the people who went, we all from California, and we're all in the stunt business, and we went back. All of the 4 of us who went back originally to do stunt doubles. I was going to double, Bill Johnson. Dan Berenger was doubling Bill Mosley. Jimmy Stephan doubled Dennis Hopper, and Beth Newfier doubled Caroline Williams. And that's what we went back for. And this was going to be it was a big production, a big money show. And, but it came down to, like I said, I did one scene jumping in, the scene in the truck, I was all me doing all that. And then, cause you don't know who's behind the mask, cause you wear a mask. And then we did another scene running in a tunnel, and, I did my bit. And it came back. They wanted to do the close-ups of Leatherface chasing Caroline Williams, and he couldn't do the chainsaw. So I got called right back in, and I chased the camera for about 12 hours.
So did the role become bigger than what was originally planned?
Yeah, I think it did because of all the action that was that they wanted to do, and when they found that I could do it, and at that time. I was a lot younger and a lot stronger, and we were all very athletic, so we ended up doing a lot of athletic type things, and the thing weighed 75 pounds. So,
wow.
Working with that was just I fractured my wrist at one point, and so I was working with a half cast on, and then everybody on the set got sick, so they sent me to the hospital, and they knew me by then by my first name. I got a horrendous shot of penicillin. Well, I didn't know at the time, but I'm allergic to penicillin, and I had a reaction to it, and I had to go back again. So I was in the hospital in Austin 5 or 6 different times. But, there was nobody else to do it, so we ended up, I worked all through that.
Mm-hmm. Did the weight of the saw, does that help you get more into the role?
It did, because you really had, this is an exertion thing. You really had to do... You had to do strength with finesse. Because you're acting like this thing is an extension of your body, and the things I had to do with it. I had a love scene with a chainsaw. Come on, and that's a one-time deal. I don't, and I didn't. Like I said, I'm not an actor, and I had people screaming at me. Tobe Hooper was just crazy, and he, kept saying, I'm in there, and Caroline Williams is on the tub with ice, and smoke is everywhere, and I got this chainsaw going, and he goes, act like you're, what. Yeah, I can't say that, but
you can, if you want to, you can. But.
Okay. Yeah, they said, he goes, act like you're fucking her. I go, okay, here we go. That's exactly what he said, and I did a show in Louisville, and Caroline Williams was there, and she has not changed in 25 years. She's still crazy as ever. Mm-hmm. And we had a panel, and it was really, really nice, really good talk. And I did say that, and she was agreeing that this was a very unusual love scene.
Yeah. I was actually going to ask you that, what kind of directions were they giving you during that scene? Because it's a pretty intense scene. And
I'm telling you, this movie drove everybody crazy because it was 110 degrees, 100% humidity. On the soundstage, it was 160 degrees. They couldn't cool it off, so we were all just frazzled every day. And the stunt unit, we worked 7 days a week because we worked on Sunday to prep for Monday, and so we never stopped. And it just was absolutely insane. But the running, falling, jumping, blah 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 blah. It was a character. And,
I'm sorry, I was going to ask, how difficult is it to work together under those conditions? Because I know when I get hot, I'm extra moody. So do tensions kind of build in those environments, or do you just kind of, this is the job and suck it up?
Well, you have to do that. That's, you're getting paid, so you're a professional.
Yep.
And you have to keep that in mind all the time that, it's not a vacation, it's a location. You have to, you're making a lot of money. And this is your profession, and you have to keep it like that. And tempers were a little edgy, but everybody was trying to stay cool. Everybody was cool through the whole thing, except for the director. But that's his business. And like I said, was never on a show like that, and just one time, in the 30 years I've been in the business.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned a few times Tobe Hooper. So was he pretty much like that the whole time you're filming the movie?
Oh yeah, from day one. And I get that. I never met him. And he was very intense and trying to get this product out. And but he was cool. I mean, I'm not saying that he wasn't. He was just he'd get very agitated and very dramatic. And
he wanted what he wanted.
That's exactly it. And he was going to get it, and he did.
Did you think that helped the movie, or?
Oh yeah, it's his vision, and he's the one that trying to make this is so weird, so different from the first one.
Yeah.
Because I never, saw the first one until before we left, and I watched it. I go, oh my God, that was, and that was one of the first horror, gruesome horror movies.
Yeah.
But you never saw any blood. All you do is hear things and you see things. Well, this one was quite the opposite. This thing, you're cutting everything and everybody and doing everything to everybody.
Do you think that's why it took a little while to find an audience, because it was so different from the first one?
Yeah,
originally,
I think so.
Like, people didn't really care for it. Then
it
seems like they really like it now. So.
It's more popular now than I think it's ever been. And I had more people, and these are people coming up, to me and saying, my parents let me see this when I was 5 years old.
Sounds like my parents.
Nothing. I didn't let my kids watch it till they were all over 18 or 19 years old.
Okay.
So they're, because it was not something that I really wanted them to watch. I had a tape of it for a long time that I still have it someplace. And but I go back and watch scenes, and I like some of it. It was really neat. But I don't know. It was crazy.
I mean, I'm actually one of those fans. Back when I was younger, I really didn't like it, and I've grown to really enjoy the movie later on. I don't know if it's because I'm older or what it is, but I think when you look at it, knowing that a lot of it's more comedic and it's just supposed to be really different than the first one, you can really appreciate it more.
Right, and you get a little more maturity, then you can see the comedic parts of it. Whereas the young audience, they're so stupid that what the heck. And it's not like it never followed in a thing like all the Freddy movies or the Jasons, Friday the 13th, all that, and it was just too different from the first one. And the third one was a little different than that, and so on and so forth. They're all different.
Yeah.
But it's really funny. There's a picture that's out that I have, and I love selling it. It's one of my best sellers. There's a picture we did for People magazine in 1986, I think it was, with myself as Leatherface and Robert Englund as Freddy, Kane Hodder, and George Wilbur as Michael Myers.
Oh, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's great. It's a great picture, and I had that magazine I still have a copy of it laying around the house.
Let's see here. We got Robbie's on the line. He has a question for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, can you just sign and send me a chainsaw? Make it out to Far Out Fan. Just don't hurt my plate. Just don't hurt my plate.
Oh my God. And everybody says that. Are you kidding? Lick my plate. God will hunt. Oh my God.
I have a question though. I do have a question. Did you get paid more than what you were originally offered because you did a lot more than?
Oh my God! Let me break it down real quick because for the one I was acting, so I had an acting contract. I doubled myself, so I had another contract. And both contracts, I got stunt adjustments on both of them. I got meal penalties on both of them. We have drive-to you get paid from driving a certain distance from a hotel to the set. Overtime, which is calculated against all these other monies. So there was 1 week paycheck I made. I think it was $27,000.
Wow.
They took the check and they walked around and showed everybody on the set how much money I made. And at that particular week, I made more money than the director, Dennis Hopper, and everybody else on the show.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. So and the overall, that was probably my best pay I made on a movie. I think it was in the 60,000 range or something like that.
Wow.
Sweet.
Yeah. That was one. I hadn't had one since, but
even though you made good money and stuff, the fact that you weren't credited, did that bother you?
You know what? This happened 25 or 26 years ago, and at the time, I did not care at all. I got stunt credit. As like I said, I am not an actor. There was talk at the time about giving me credit back and forth for a long time after we finished the movie, and that was whatever they wanted to do. I don't care one way or the other. And the only thing I can say is I know what I did on the movie, and the actor knows what he did.
Mm-hmm. Do you think about it more later on, like when the conventions came up, than you did back then, or?
Pardon me?
Does it bother you more like that you started doing the conventions and stuff like that than it did actually at the time?
Because I got the word out, and I'm just telling the truth. And I met with Bill Johnson. We did a show, and
we've had him on the show. He's a really nice guy.
Yeah, he's extremely nice, and he even he said this is what I did, this is what Bob did, and I got a little heated about it maybe at the beginning, that. Mm-hmm. Somebody was selling pictures that weren't of him, they were me, and that kind of went to the wayside because they stopped doing that.
Mm-hmm. So your relationship with him's fine?
Oh yeah, we're cool.
That's good.
Like I said, he we were reminiscing a little bit, and then and he says, "Well, you did that." And I go, "Yes, I did." Oh, you did that? Yes, I did. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I didn't want to do that. I go, yeah, I did all this, I did all this, I did all this. Oh, yeah. So, but like I said, I didn't know anything about these shows. I had no idea that this was going on, and I didn't know how popular, Texas Chainsaw 2 was until like last year. And I get a great response from people, and it's very satisfying for me because I really appreciate being, noticed or recognized for something that I did.
Yeah, and I think they even mentioned this on the commentary or on the DVD that recently that's actually become a lot of fans' favorite of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise.
Oh, yeah.
It's really picked up, its own fan base over the years.
Oh, it has, and everybody that I've seen said, this is my favorite one. This is my, the one I really like, and because it's so weird and unique that they really, and then and like you said, you picked up on a lot of the stuff that they were trying to do, and a lot of the comic stuff that was in there, and and then you got to have a little warped mind to really appreciate it anyway.
Yes, which I think both of us do. So. Or all three of us here, maybe.
I certainly do. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for calling in, Robbie. Do you have anything else?
Hey, thanks for taking my question, and you're the man.
Hey, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Hey, peace.
Now we mentioned, he mentioned the line, lick my plate.
Oh, yeah.
And, actually, Bill Moseley actually even says that in the liner he did for our website. He says it quite often. What was he like, was that his first movie? I'm pretty sure that was his first movie. What was he like, to work with?
Oh, crazy, When this is, people don't understand that, these guys are getting up they were on a set like at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning because it took 4 or 5 hours to do all that makeup. So we would come in because Dan Berenger was Bill's double, so he had to have the same thing done to him. And it took about 4 hours, and then to work all day long, 12 or 14 hours with that stuff on. That'd drive anybody absolutely insane.
Yeah.
But I love Bill. I love the stuff he's done. I'm a fan of his. I really like Devil's Rejects and all of that. I really like that movie.
I like it better than the first one. I like House of 1,000 Corpses, but Devil's Rejects
Devil's Rejects a lot better. Oh yeah, and he's done a lot of stuff. I think he's a great actor, and but back then, man, I'm telling you, everybody was crazy. Dennis Hopper, all he wanted to do was get high. This is when he was doing drugs. He wanted to play golf with Willie Nelson and whatever, and they had to go find him and come in and bring him back to the set. And I'm trying to, set up a fight with a chainsaw with this, and I'm in awe of, how many people can say that they worked with Dennis Hopper on a movie.
Yeah.
And I can always say that for, till I die, that I was one of those few people given that opportunity.
Yeah, and that was kind of before he kind of made his big kind of comeback again.
You know, the next movie he did after Chainsaw was Blue Velvet. So that's when started his comeback. But he did this thing, and he did it. Man, he's a method actor, and he got into this character, and man, like I said, I was in awe of him. But trying to get him to fight with a chainsaw was very actually.
Yeah. What was that whole scene like? It was almost like a sword fight with chainsaws.
Exactly. That's exactly what they wanted to do, and we just kept scratching our heads on how we were going to, do this, and there was no way to rehearse with chainsaws because they were just too heavy and too big, and we did it with Kimpo sticks and beat the crap out of each other, trying to get this to where it looked somewhat, and like I said, back then we were in really good shape. Jimmy Stephan is an excellent stuntman. He doubled Dennis, and we just beat the crap out of each other. And if you look closely in the film during the fight on the table and stuff, you see sparks flying, and that's from us hitting each other so hard. We really tried to beat each other up.
Mm-hmm. Now, there's nothing against Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie, but do you think if it would have been like a few years later, Dennis Hopper might not even have done that since he would have?
I know he wouldn't have done
it.
Yeah. He's told you he wouldn't have done it.
No way we would have done it. No, it would have been no, I don't think it ever would have happened. Mm-hmm. I think everything lined up at that particular point.
Mm-hmm. I think that's something too. I think that helps the movie later on. Is then he builds up this Dennis Hopper, all these roles, and then it's like he was also in this Texas Chainsaw Massacre too, and then people go back and watch it. And,
they have to go back and watch it, right?
Yeah. And of course, what's Tom Savini like?
Oh, he was great. Excuse me. Great. He was so much fun. He had his own crew, and in fact, I worked. Later on in the years, I worked with this crew several different times. I did a movie called Dr. Giggles, and they were on that. Mm-hmm. And I think
that's a really underrated war movie. I always liked Dr. Giggles.
I doubled Paul Drake on that, and that was fun. And some of his crew were on that. But Tom is another guy running around. I mean, he was really a lot of fun, really. And I remember he bought a little toy submarine and played with it in the pool at the hotel where they were staying at. I mean, that's the kind of stuff I remember. He was always playing. I thought that was so cool.
You think that really is something that makes him so good at making the effects? Is it really is a kid at heart, and it's like he's playing and making all these things? Mm-hmm.
Exactly. He enjoys it so much, and if you enjoy something a lot, you're going to get really good at it because you enjoy it and it makes you happy and blah blah blah. But when you're like that, you put a lot more into it, and and these guys were showing us books with dead people in it, and how the sculptors were unreal about how they made Grandpa up and all. It was fascinating to me how they did all that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm always a big fan of the Grandpa in any of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre films.
Yeah.
That character, I get a kick out of.
Yeah, that was, I'm telling you, it was just trying to remember all this stuff, and in the last, I never thought about it for so long, and now I'm thinking back about all the stuff that happened, and being the hardest thing I ever did, it was still a lot of fun too.
Mm-hmm. Those underground sets, like you were saying, you're running through like the tunnels, in the movie. I mean, I don't know if were they really that long? Because it looks like they're really long. And
one was at a old amusement park outside of Austin, Texas, and it was like the old Quonset huts were made out of steel, and they filled it with all this stuff and millions of lights, and it was a good, I don't know, maybe a quarter of a mile long. So we were running back and forth, and it was so hot inside that I'd drink a bottle of water at one end, go down the other end and drink another bottle of water, and go back, and never peed all day. I just sweat. I never was so wet in my life. Everything I had on me was completely soaked. Mm. The boots were squishing water, everything from being in there. Unreal. Mm. And then the main set was an old newspaper building in downtown Austin, and they had gutted 2 or 3 stories of it, so it was a huge opening, and filled that thing with 1 million lights, and that's where most of the other things were filmed.
It sounds like being a stuntman is just a super tough, demanding job. How did you end up getting into this line of work?
There's a place out here called Knott's Berry Farm. I don't know if you've heard of it or not.
Yep.
And it was a small amusement park. It's, it was not too far from Disneyland.
Mm-hmm.
And they had a thing called the Wild West Stunt Show. And in that, they had a guy come out of the audience as a volunteer, and they had a stuntman from Hollywood, and then a star of the show, and they put on this show, and then we did a fight and a high fall and stuff like that. And they would do skits out on the street and more, fights and falling. And I got a job there originally in 1972 and worked there on and off for a long time, and then ended up there have been several people coming out of there, believe it or not, who have gone on to do some really great work in the stunt business. Dan Berenger, who came out of Knott's Berry Farm, he, like I said, he doubled Bill Moseley, but he also was a stunt coordinator, co-coordinator on Lord of the Rings.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Pirates of the Caribbean. I got on that through them. I played the executioner in Pirates 1 and 3. So he's gone on and he's just done a fabulous amount of work in all the years, and several other people that came out of it. But that's where I got my start. I got my SAG card doing a commercial for them, and the rest is history.
So it's just something that's always appealed to you, because you've mentioned quite a few times that you do not want to be referred to as an actor. That's really you're a stuntman. I'm
not an actor. I never professed to be an actor because there's a difference. We are in a way because you have to imitate people. If you're going to double somebody, you meet them for 30 seconds and you get dressed up, and now you got to analyze how they walk, how their movements, what they're looking, how they move, so you can kind of put that into what you're doing. And if you're doing a fight and running around, you still got to kind of make it look like it's the actor you're dealing with. And so, I've done some parts, little things here and there, but I'm not an actor. I don't want people to think that I am. I was a stuntman, like I said, over 30 years. So.
Was that ever a hope of yours, was to get into acting, or have you always been
No,
always been in love with being a stuntman?
I'm not an actor. I'm telling you, it scares me to death to get up in front of people. And I'd have to really zone.
Yeah.
Because I took acting lessons. Everybody, you have to do that to get into the gist of things, and it was so hard for me to do that. So to go out and act, I go, no.
Wow.
I know, just to talk to you before, you brought up Judo Gene LeBell, the wrestler.
Oh, yeah.
Did you ever want to be a professional wrestler? Being a stuntman? I know some of them, like Kane Hodder, wanted to do that.
No, again, I'm a big guy. I'm 6'2". I was, 285, 90 pounds, but these other guys would dwarf me, and I studied with Gene for almost 12 years, and in fact, he's the one who got me my first job. I did a TV show called Remington Steel, and he got me my first job in the business. And we took up judo because you had to learn how to fall, because you don't know what you're going to go work on, either asphalt, concrete, dirt, or what you're going to do. And there's a big difference between fighting somebody and then a movie fight. It's all different, and you have to learn that. So we learned, how to do movie fights, how to do falls, how to all that, and that was all incorporated in, especially judo, because I could fall on the concrete without hurting myself, and it did come in handy many, many, many times. So, in fact, we promoted to black belt eventually over the years, but Gene, I worked out with Roddy Piper before. He would come in all the time, and Mondo Guerrero would come in all the time, and he'd beat the crap out of me, and all these guys that would come in through there, the old time wrestlers.
Mm-hmm. But no intention of ever trying to do it as a profession.
No. I'm not. All I want to do, I played football. I thought, I'm going to be a pro football player, and I played semi-pro, and and it beat the crap out of me. And I'm just tired of getting beat up. So eventually, I decided, if I'm going to get beat up, I'm going to get paid for it. And I can say that I was a pink lady on Married with Children, so I can't say that. So there you go.
Was that the only time you played a lady?
I got to play with a bunch of pro football players, and that was really neat. And they brought out all their Super Bowl rings, and that was kind of cool.
Hmm. Now, I heard that they used some real like skeletons when they were on the sets. Was that
real.
Yeah, was that strange? You knowing that these are just making more into the role.
Well, it was strange, and it smelled. I mean, they used not live cow guts, but freshly killed cow guts for a bunch of stuff. And then, like I said, that heat, is nauseating, and the skeletons were all real. And it was if you look close at the background, you see all this weird stuff. And me trying, take what's his name, Lou Perriman's face off and play with that, and play with her, and all this blood. And and again, on the other side of the camera, Toby Hooper's telling me, okay, now you got to do this, now you got to do that, now you got to do this. And okay.
I've always really felt that adds a lot to a movie if there's a lot of little things in the background that you might not even pick up the first time you're watching it.
Exactly. If you watch that 4 or 5 times, you're going to see something different.
Speaking of Lou Perryman, any memories of Lou?
Everyone
nice always says he's really funny.
He was really funny, and really, you're looking at him in that character almost, and just extremely, really nice guy, and all the stuff that he had to go through, and just, nice. Caroline was crazy, but very nice. Same thing for Bill. Everybody was just absolutely gracious. Mm-hmm.
Now, did the cook, did he have any advice? Because he's like the only guy that returned from the original one.
He was so nice. And, anytime he, I talked to him a lot because our rooms were right next to each other in the honey wagon, so we would chit-chat a little bit here and there. I mean, we were busy all the time, so we did not have a lot of time to, converse with very many people, but the time that we did have, he would tell us stories, and it was just so cool, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Annabelle?
Yeah, I was looking through your credits. It seems like it's been a little while since you've done any stunts. What have you been up to, and do you have any desire to ever do more?
No, I'm kind of almost semi-retired right now. Like I said, I beat myself to death so much that years ago I had a knee operation, and the doctor said, well, you see that yellow stuff? That's arthritis. And when you become 50 or, when you're about 50 years old, all this stuff is going to come back and haunt you. And yes, it did.
Oh, really?
So a lot of things hurt, but, I have no regrets. But, it's just because I can't bend over or run very fast or walk anymore.
It seems like you've had a really diverse film history for your career.
I did a lot of different things. I did a lot of TV. When I first started, there wasn't a lot of movie work. But TV, there was TV. I did an A-Team way back when, and like I said, Rims of Steel, Murder, She Wrote, all these other different TV shows that had little things on it that that I started doing, and then the movies started popping up, and and Texas was one of the big ones, and I doubled John Goodman on a movie called Everybody's All American, and that one they threw me through a plate. We had a big fight, and I got killed, and then they threw me through a glass window, and that's the one where I felt something on my arm, and it hurt, and I had to go through dead, laying on the ground, and I got it cut. I looked over, and I got this little spurting blood thing coming out of my wrist.
Oh, wow.
And luckily, there was a nurse right there off camera, and she jumped on my wrist and covered it up, and we went to the video and looked at it, and we were ready to go again because they had another piece of glass, and the director said, no, we got it, and then I went right to the hospital, and I think I had 75 stitches inside and 50 on the outside, for that one, so that was pretty fun.
That's amazing.
For like, you said you had bad knees and stuff, do you think that's from any one particular thing, or is it really from the build-up?
No, that's just from years of high school football, college football, years of beating myself at Knott's Berry Farm, and then years of stunt work. It's all accumulated, and and your body can only take so much. And you can ask any professional athlete, eventually, you're going to stoop over, and it's going to be hard to walk, and blah 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 blah. But I have no regrets about it whatsoever, and I made a good living. I've got a million great memories about it, and I love going to these shows, and I love meeting people that are,
Yeah. Do you think the internet helps that? It's easier for fans to find out who played the parts that they really liked that you might not get a ton of credit, or you might not have known otherwise.
Well, that's what I've been trying to do is I'm putting the word out, that this is what I did. If you don't believe me, just watch the movie.
Mm-hmm. And if you've ever listened to the commentary track, the actors they talk about you a lot during the film and say which one's you and which one's Bill Johnson.
Yeah, and I had a lot of that. We did like I said, we did a panel in Louisville, and everybody asked that question, and and we're both sitting up at the panel, and Bill did graciously say that yes, this is what I did, this is what Bob did. So hopefully that that gets out to people, and
Did you keep any props?
Yeah, so as a matter of fact, I kept the teeth that I wore, and I have the only tie from the movie. Because everybody asked me if I had the mask. Well, man, that was like guarded treasure. I think Savini got one. Savini got one, and Tobe Hooper got one because I used Tobe Hooper's mask when we did the picture for People magazine, and I couldn't get my hands on it at all. But that's the only two. Then I heard that they made some more up or whatever. Those were the only. I couldn't get anything else. But I did keep my tie. I got it signed by everybody. And the teeth I gave to a collector that I met in New Jersey last year.
Oh, it was very generous.
So, yeah, he was just a very, very nice guy. He had me sign a bunch of stuff, and I made a lot of money, and Mama really liked it.
I know Bill Moseley still has the original hanger that he used to scratch his head.
Yeah. Oh my God. That's you were talking about weird stuff. I was sitting there, not sitting there, but standing there and watching him do that, and just like, oh my God in heaven. That was the strangest thing I ever saw in my life.
Was all that stuff in the script, or was any of that just stuff you thought up?
No, that was him. No. The lines. Let me tell you, they were writing this stuff, on the run. They would write something, and 10 minutes later, there comes something else in. And I think it was, Kit Carson, who was a writer, and he had a desk, and man, he would throw stuff in and out and back and forth. But that's Moseley's craziness right there.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, he'd come up with this stuff, and okay.
We mentioned earlier, he went and he's done Otis recently in House of 1,000 Corpses, Devil's Rejects, and that's like real big. And he's done a bunch of other stuff, but you can always tell if you ever talk to him or even see him that Chop Top really means a lot to him. That's like the character that he really holds the most dear.
I think he really holds that close, because he does refer to that a lot, and and he, from what I could gather, he's very proud of it, and I'm happy with it. And I did see Bill last year one time, and he couldn't believe it was me because I'm an old man now, gray hair, and he kind of still looks the same. So.
Yeah, he does. I just saw him recently at Days of the Dead.
The crazy keep youthful.
Yeah, so he's aging very well, but I lost all my hair, not all of it, but and I got the beard. But like I said, the beard irritates my wife so much that I'm gonna leave it as long as I can.
How long have you been married for?
33 years.
Congratulations.
So and if I can irritate her a few more years, I'll be fine by me.
I did ask him the secret. I didn't get this on camera, but the secret because he does still look really good, and he said it was chocolate chip cookies. He just pulled out a bag and started eating chocolate chip cookies.
I can do that too, but then I get really fat.
I told him I'd do the same thing, but it's not working for me.
So I don't know. I mean, some people are like that, but I know he holds it close to his heart. You know, that's something that I don't know if you want to be identified with that the rest of your life, but hey, whatever. I can, you know, here's another thing where how many people could say, you know, they played Leatherface? How many?
Very limited.
And that's it. And whether it means anything to anybody else or not, I can always say that. So.
Mm-hmm. You said you watched your original, but did you mention if you watched it before you filmed this, or was it after?
No, it was before, because I had no, you know, what is this Texas Chainsaw crap? I don't know. I had no idea what it was. So when we got a copy of it and watched it, I said, oh my God, you know, it's crazy. But to pick up on all the stuff, you know, and the thing that just scared the Jesus out of me was Leatherface picking that girl up, putting her on the hook.
Yeah.
You didn't see it, but you heard it.
Oh yeah.
And that just, oh my God.
Now, when you watched, did you try to mimic any of the movements that he used in the original one, or
not a one? No, this is a completely different deal. You know, because like I said, this guy to me was more not athletic, but everything was strength. You know, big and strong, and everything he did was, you know, he's tearing stuff up every second. So it had to be strong. Everything had to be strong, and that stupid move.
I was just saying, the shake. Where does?
Oh my God! I did that, and then they made me do it for the rest of the movie. You know, they said do something, and that's what I did. And
was that an old thing from your football days? Cause
I don't know. I have no idea where that came. Why did I do that? I don't know. You know,
I remember it though.
Take the chainsaw. I don't know where that came from. Jesus. But I do remember, you know, having to do it all the time, and it was, oh my God, great.
Annabelle?
Yeah, I was going to ask, so it sounds like you were perhaps not a horror fan before this movie. Would you say that you grew an appreciation for horror movies, or is it maybe still not your thing necessarily?
Oh no, I grew. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I love, you know, I'm a big fan. You know, one of the worst things that ever happened to me, I went to the show and I saw Exorcist for the first, you know, when it first came out. And I remember driving home on the freeway, and I saw that face pop up on the windshield, and it scared the crap out of me, you know. But over the years, I've really, you know, I've become a fan. I love a lot of the stuff. A lot of the stuff, you know, is like, oh, really? But I am a fan, and I love the actors. I love the movies. Anything like that. I'm not really a, you know, into, you know, killing blood and guts, but I do. I really like Bill Moseley stuff. I really do.
Yeah.
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 It's funny you mentioned Exorcist. We just went to see it Tuesday.
Yeah, at the theater. They were playing it in the Metro Boston in Cambridge.
Oh, okay.
So it was great.
Yeah, a lot of fun. I found out recently, this has nothing to do with you, but that it was actually the director's cut, so it was actually the extended version.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that was, and at the time, you know, it scared the crap out of everybody.
It's a great movie. It still holds up so well.
Oh, yeah.
And we can also relate with, you're saying some of the horror movies you watch, you're like, really?
Yeah.
As a horror movie fan, sometimes you gotta go through some stuff that's not so good to find.
But you know what? It's so neat to me is that they got so many people making stuff. You know, they're making movies with their cameras, and these young guys are putting stuff together, and I think that's great. You know? And it's so, because they didn't have it 25 years ago. You couldn't make a movie without a, you know, big Panaflex or some other piece of crap that you couldn't afford to do, and blah 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 blah. But now everybody's making a movie. I love it. I love all this independent stuff that's coming out. You know, that they're all different, and I think that's great for the industry and great for horror movies.
Because there's a lot of creative people out there that might not have the money to go to film school or to have, like, you know, this kick-ass camera or whatever.
Right. And then this has given them an opportunity to show what they can do and maybe get picked up, you know, by somebody else that, you know, that has a little more money that can do that, you know. And some of these artists are phenomenal that are out, and even they may, you know, draw monsters, but they're absolutely fantastic monsters, you know. And the sculptors, and all that.
Yeah, and I know one that painted this really cool hat that I saw days of the day.
Oh, you know what? I'm not just going to mention that hat. I just want to say that it was absolutely fabulous. And if I ever get a hold of the artist, I want to talk to her about that.
Yeah, I don't blame her. She's pretty cool.
Yeah. Seems like a pretty decent person.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, we really want to thank you for coming and talking to us.
Oh, my pleasure. And I'm glad to talk to you and to get the word out what's happening and how it all went down and all that. And I appreciate your time very much.
Real quick before we do let you go, because we talk about independent filmmakers and getting the word out there. Now, since you were kind of semi-retired from stunt work, would you be interested? Like, if someone was out there and wanted you in their movie, because it does help. It does help, like an independent movie, if it said it's got Bob Elmore in it. It was Leatherface. Would you be interested in something like that?
Absolutely. Like I said, I'm not an actor, but I can bullshit my way through it.
Right. Now, if they want to do that, how would they contact you?
You can. I'm on Facebook. I'm all over the place.
Oh, okay.
Give me a holler through there, and I'll throw my number out to them or whoever.
Are you easy to find on Facebook, or are there like a bunch of people pretending to?
No, you just see the picture of Leatherface is Bob Elmore.
Okay.
That's how I found him.
That's
all right. Great.
And it's an old cutout. It's not in my picture, but you see me with a big old long white beard. That's me.
Yeah.
Oh, you got the picture.
Yeah, I got it. I'll have the link right on our page. It's actually facebook.com/Big Bob Elmore.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Good times. All right, man. Thanks again.
All right. Hey,
Thank
you so much. No, I appreciate it. I love what you're doing, and you, Miss Lecter, you're an absolutely talented person. I can tell, and I want to see more of your stuff, though.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I'll add